Okay, guys, here we go. Another no condiments day, which means talk about anything you want to talk about. If you want to talk about the fact that condiments suck, that's always welcome. Um, I just wanted to get started off with, as I mentioned in the title, how bizarre this whole Trump sniper thing is. This country is so messed up right now. I mean, well, I should probably wait for if YouTube is going to send out any notifications for them to go out before we get too deep into it. But for at least for the beginning here, let's just say let me know what you guys are thinking about this whole thing with the sniper. Just boy, it's so odd. All right, here we go. Randy's in and Spaz Dev. Feven's here. Timothy, Empire, Jeff, Mike Wells is here. Mustard is the best condiment. I'll tell you, as somebody who obviously seriously hates condiments, mustard is one of the ones I mind the least. Put it that way. I don't add it to anything nor any other condiments, but mustard isn't a deal breaker. In other words, if somebody screws up and gives me my hot dog with mustard on it, I'll wipe off the excess and I'll still eat it with the flavor in there. If you put like mayo or okay, hold on a second here. Are we freaking out? Come on, what's going on, YouTube? All right, you guys, is everything okay now, you guys? YouTube seems to be having some aneurysms here. Yeah, it's I don't know what YouTube's doing now. Oh my God, you guys. Um, all right, it seems like it's okay now. What I was saying when YouTube was having its aneurysm, ketchup's there in the league with mustard. I don't add it to anything intentionally, but if it's on something, typically what I'll do is wipe off the excessive amounts and I'll still eat it with the flavor of it in there. Favorite TV show? It's funny you bring that up, Austin, because I was just thinking earlier, I was recording for the Goosh, our Patreon. I honestly think that as far as TV shows go, now that I'm well into season 7 of it, boy, that freaking Always Sunny in Philadelphia might be my top. I mean, there's a lot of great shows over the years, a lot of shows I've really loved. So I have to think back. And when I say that by TV show, I'm talking live action. Cartoons are a separate category for me, only because it wouldn't be fair to the others because I've always been a cartoon freak. I love cartoons. So, the live action shows, be they dramas or comedy, it might be Always Sunny now. That show is just so freaking funny. Arkwinder says, you think Kamala is going to replace Biden? You know what, Arkwinder? Interesting you brought that up. If you'd asked me that just a couple days ago, the last time we streamed, I'd have said probably not. Now, I'm going to call it a 50-50. I'm not going to say it's likely she is, but I think she's got as much chance of becoming the nominee as not. Only because the rumors are now that even though Biden is still saying in no uncertain terms that he is going to run and he's going to win, so on and so forth, he's relented a bit apparently, and he has said that if health were to be a major concern, then he would step aside. Now, shortly after he said that, he canceled engagements due to COVID. That could well be just a coincidence, but it could also be, all right, we're going to start pushing the old fart on out of here. I think the Democrats have even a less chance of winning with Kamala, because as much as Biden and his cognitive issues are an issue, I think they pale in comparison to just how unlikable not only Kamala is, but how unliked she already is. Disliked she already is. Lick says, Biden, I think, should just move to Hawaii and sip on tequila on a beach for the next 5 years of his life or however long he's got. Yeah, Lick, it almost seems cruel at this point, doesn't it? Them keeping her out there. But look what they did to Dianne Feinstein. I mean, that was horrific. And I never liked Dianne Feinstein. I lived in California when she was mayor of San Francisco, and I never liked her. That's going way back. But it was cruel just to hold on, make sure they held on to that seat that they're wheeling her around in there. And you could see there was nobody home. She was just days from dying. That was horrible. Quasar says, I think it's likely the only one holding Joe Biden is Jill Biden because she wants power. Yeah, that seems to be the case, doesn't it? She's really demonstrated that recently, that she seems to be all about just what you said, the control. She likes having the power. I never realized that about her until more recently, but yeah, that seems to be her thing. I don't know, hopefully we're not glitching out on you guys more. Oh, come on, YouTube. Not today. Lick says, you ever notice how almost every president looks 30 years older at the end of their term? They did at the start. Reagan looked decrepit by the time he left office. You're right, Licks. There's been some graphics made online of that, and it's scary. They always look way more than the 4 or 8 years older than they actually spent in office. Even Obama did. If you look at Obama when he started to when he finished, obviously he had aged 8 years, but he looked like he had aged 15 or 20. You're right, Reagan looked terrible, but Reagan, as he left, was really old, like Biden and Trump are. I don't think he was as old as them, but he was an old fart. So at least with him, it was more understandable. But some of the presidents that are on the younger side still look like they had aged terrifically. It's understandable. I've always said, you guys know, a lot of my wife and I's life has been spent around disabled people, between having disabled children and having provided care for disabled people in our home and jobs we've had working with the disabled community. If you look, people with mental disabilities, many times, and my stepdaughter is a perfect example of this, don't show age hardly at all. And I think it's just because of the lack of stress. The mental detriments they have don't allow for being overly stressed, or in some cases being stressed at all. And now my stepdaughter is 37 years old. She's getting close to 40. One of these times I'll do a stream on my phone. I'll take in, you guys haven't visited Nene in a while, but Renee does not have a single gray hair on her face and not a wrinkle. None. It's just stunning. And again, that's at almost 40 years old. And she's got the sandy type blonde hair that shows gray really well, if there was any. Johan says, I don't live in America, but you need to move on from Trump and Biden. It's really, I said it the other day, it's really sad that in a country of whatever, 340, 360 million people, whatever we are, that these are the two top dogs right there. Yeah. Says a lot about the rest of us, I guess. J.D. Vance is a good speaker, Joe. Yeah. We haven't had one of these in a while, and now it's saying YouTube stream health is excellent. Apologies, guys, for any glitches you're getting, but trust me, it's not on my end. It's on YouTube's. Quasar says, watching the stream on a plane to Austin, just to weigh in the Biden dropout discussions. We knew about this months before the debate. If only the DNC had a primary, so they noticed the decline earlier. That's the sad thing, Quasar. And I was talking with some of the folks in here who are on the left, who are Democrats, in the last stream. And as I said to them, you guys got screwed. What kind of bullshit is that? Saying that you're not going to allow him to be primaried? I mean, you just told all the people in your base, hey, screw you. We don't care what you want. We'll tell you what's best for you. And come on, the decline has been obvious for some time. That's the tough position they're in too, because now if they pull Biden, no matter what the reason they say, or no matter what they say is the reason, we know it's because he's in mental decline. So now you got people who are those few people in the country, that small percentage that genuinely haven't made up their mind yet. That doesn't look good. It's like, well, why did you lie to us all this time? Why didn't you put forth a candidate who was fit to be in office when you knew this guy was slipping? Because, again, since he had started his presidency, there have been people talking online consistently about how he's slipping and how he seems to be in decline and blah, blah, blah. So now you're all of a sudden going to say, well, no, it wasn't then. It just happened over the last couple days. Come on. They've just screwed. This should have been a pretty easy election for the Democrats to win. But they screwed up by not allowing Biden to be primaried. And even more so than that, further back than that, they screwed up hugely when he picked Kamala as his running mate. She's not popular. People don't like Kamala. And that was known back then. What was she polling at in the primaries back then? 3% when she dropped out? Come on, she wasn't even popular in her own party. Lick says, Curtis, I'm British. I get screwed no matter who wins. The Tories and the liberals are a bunch of turfs. That's why I vote Green. I gotta, you know what, Lex, my knowledge of UK politics is just very surface oriented. I really need to read more because it is interesting to me, especially in the UK and, allied nations, to see exactly how things work because the systems are so different. Plus it gets hard too because I will read international stuff and I don't stay into it enough to understand when they talk about a specific party, how that party aligns. Big Green says, no worry, if Biden loses, he'll have forgotten about it. Unironically, a blue raspberry. That's a good name. The DNC can basically choose who they want to be the party rep, so I don't know why they chose Biden. Right. And why would they not let him be primaried? I don't think he would have won. I'm sure we have some. Well, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Democrat to give your opinion. Do you guys think he would have won if they had an open primary? I don't. I don't think Kamala would have beaten him. But I think somebody would have come from the Democratic pack and caught on and beat him. Bernie, I think, is also too old. I don't think he could have done it. Gavin Newsom, I think, California's hated too much, and there's too much to hammer Gavin Newsom with the horrific state California's in. Just because with them doing things like passing that law now, where parents don't have to be notified about conversations between kids and their teachers and stuff, that's not going to play in most of the country. Big Green says, in Germany, you have the choice between old people and literal fascists. Oh, great. Oh, that's Ducky. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Phantom Record says that's an understatement. Let me out of Cali. I used to live there, my friend, many years ago, but I used to live there, and I just don't. It just seems like Newsom tries to prove that he's the most progressive candidate on planet Earth, and he'll do it at the expense of his own people without a problem. I mean, even things that obviously are hurting just the average day-to-day Californian. He's out to prove himself to be the farthest left in America. Spazdev says, I think Biden is unfortunately the best chance for Democrats to win. Well, the polls would back you up, Spazdev. Yeah. When they poll the other contenders, and knowing the other contenders, because I do follow politics, I don't think there's any of them that will get a bump by getting better known. They all, in other words, and I'm not trying to shit on them. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying they all have enough bumps and bruises that could be taken advantage of to where I don't think people getting to know them better is going to push them up over Trump. I think there are enough people that are either A, in denial about Biden's decline, or B, willing to accept Biden's decline, that yes, I agree with you. I think he's got the best chance. Lick says the Tories are the conservatives. Okay, they are the conservatives. They've been in charge for years now and are so hated that even the racist football fans have chants about how bad they are. Great. That's why I say, that's why I enjoy talking to you guys, because we have people from all over the world, and I get so annoyed, so distraught about the state of politics in America. But then I chat with you guys, and it's like, we're not alone. There's dysfunction all over the world. Phantom Record says, yeah, I think after retardy Oswald, I think Trump has it in the bag. I think that gave him a little push, just because, again, he had that fantastic photo op within it. I think what does hurt, and again, it's a very small slice here in America of people that really are willing to vote either way, and they're pivotal. And then you see, and it's rampant online, so these people who are willing to go either way see all these people on the left online talking about how it was a false flag and it didn't really happen. That doesn't help you. It really doesn't. Because, I mean, people who genuinely are looking to go one side or the other and are aware that it really happened, it really took place, really get put off by that thing. Republicans, and Trump specifically, has done that for years. He's put off lots of people by making shit up and conspiracy theories and stuff. So one of the few things that Democrats had going for them in those lines is they hadn't been as prone to that, but now they're just all over the place. I don't think it all happened anyway. No, this is all too convenient. Trump didn't care if those people died just so he could put on his false flag. That's insanity. Just based on how many people would have had to have been in on it is pure insanity. Yeah. Jeff says the VP pick is from the great state of Ohio. Indeed he is. Yeah. Old J.D. Vance. Hi, Chrome. Lick says, I mean, to be fair, with the teachers thing, that's just to protect the gay and trans kids from their homophobic family members. Right, Lex, but there's the issue with that is, and I don't have a problem with that, the way it's worded, though, this would be my concern as a parent. There are bad parents out there, unfortunately. And there are parents out there from whom children need protection. However, there are bad teachers out there. No, bad people out there who are teachers as well. One thing my kids were always taught is you respect people in positions of authority, such as teachers, but you don't just trust anyone, because people are people and there are bad ones in every field. So now you are also opening that up for a kid who doesn't have a bad home life and is just mentally troubled to make stuff up, as kids are want to do. And you could have this school and somebody in this school who the hell knows what their makeup is or who they really are, getting the ear of this impressionable child, and that's not good either. That's the issue. It still comes back to the fact that they are the parents. And now I think any child that goes to a teacher or anybody in a position of authority and tells them a story of abuse should absolutely be taken seriously and looked into. I don't think they should be able to just confide in these teachers and have that placed as, oh, well, they said this, that, and the other went on at home, so we're not even going to tell the parents about it and let the parents come in and explain what's happening. We're just going to take care of it. That's a slippery slope. I don't care what the specific issue is with the child. They're still children. And if I was a parent, I would be livid about that. If it was in, someplace I lived. I am a parent. My kids just went, hey, dude. Yeah, yeah, Joseph. That was pretty stupid. Joseph Wooten says, did you see Joy Reid try to compare Biden recovering from COVID to Trump getting shot? Yeah, she did. She's a wingnut anyway. But she said, well, now Biden has COVID. And if in a couple days he comes back from this disease that at one point was, what did she say was, I'm paraphrasing, was basically killing everybody his age, then isn't that the same thing as what Trump did just because he got up from being grazed by a bullet or shattered glass from a bullet? It's like, nah, that's not the same thing. No matter what happened, he was either millimeters or inches away from getting assassinated. Biden's got a disease now that has been reduced down with current treatments, reduced down to the flu or less. Yeah, Chrome says, so he admits Vasquez is adopted. Yeah. I know, Big Green. I just erased I was just chatting with him on the phone right before the stream started, and now I erased the poor kid. Blue Raspberry says, do you remember the case, the right-wing group kidnapping Richard Whitmer? I do remember that. Well, that was alleged that the group was FBI agents. I don't think that was ever proven. Unless I missed something. That's entirely possible. No, I didn't. Chrome says, did you see Joe Biden's I'm sick tweet? No. I know that, like I say, he has COVID, supposedly, and that's why he's canceling events. But I didn't see his tweet. It's so funny how the giant douche turd sandwich episode gets referenced every single election. Oh, S-blank, yeah. I think if it was a four-way race, the giant douche and the turd sandwich are both superior to our other options. I laugh about it, but you might as well laugh because otherwise you just cry. Well, that's what we're wondering. Cutie Rosa said, she didn't say that. She said, Biden is sick. I guess Kamala Harris is the candidate now. That's what we're talking about. I think, again, if you'd asked me this just in the stream the other day, if I thought it was going to be Harris or Biden, I would have said Biden. Now I'd put it at 50-50. Because it just seems, and again, it could be pure coincidence. Very possibly be pure coincidence. But Biden goes ahead and acquiesces that if he were to get ill, then he would step aside, and then a day later he's got COVID. Oh, Big Green says he just, oh, okay, hold on, Chrome's got it. He just wrote I'm sick and nothing else. Let me take a look at it. That was it. Wow. Cool. Oh, excuse me, sorry guys. The comments on this one gotta be great. Jesus Christ. This is the first tweet that Joe actually wrote and sent himself. Yeah. Oh, that's quite a tweet there, Joe. Blue Raspberry, was 9/11 an inside job? No. It was people who flew airplanes into buildings. You getting ads again, Chrome? Maybe, well, no, because they could do it on video. Maybe this is the only reason we get a little bit of push with streams and never did with videos. They feel like they can whore out the ads here better. Mr. Croissant, good to see you. Finally moved in my new place in the Twin Cities. Oh, very good. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. What the hell's going on? Envix says Biden is ready to throw in the towel. People aren't letting him. You think so? By people you mean like Jill and his immediate? Because I was say a lot of people in his party want him to, but I see what you're saying. We were talking about it earlier. It almost seems cruel at this point. Again, I relate it back to what happened with Dianne Feinstein and how they were still just wheeling her through the halls of Congress and she was just gone. But they wanted to make sure they held on to that seat. It gets cruel after a while. Yeah, I get what you mean, Envix. I agree with you. I, and I make jokes about it's a comedy channel. I make jokes about all politicians, and I make jokes about him and his, him being gone, and if it's outside the hours of 10 to 4, how the president is out type thing. But I don't take any joy in it. I don't hate Joe Biden. I'm not going to vote for him. But I followed politics my whole adult life, and I've never had a problem with him. I don't like seeing this happen to him. I mean, he's being turned into a joke. That's why I make jokes about it, because he's being turned into a joke. But it is. It's not fun to watch. Mintman, thanks for the super chat, pal. He says, went to McDonald's and saw that a dude ordered ketchup on his burger. I haven't cried this hard since the ending of see, for me, Mintman, the ketchup wouldn't do if the ketchup would just make me sneer at him a little. Just be like, ugh. And now if he ordered the American cheese on it, then yeah, I would shed tears like Clannad. Or I would Karen him. I'd call the FBI or something. Like how Hillary treats Bill now. Yeah. It's just it's just really, really sad. But the guy was never a smooth speaker. He always did. I mean, they're not lying. He had a speech impediment when he was younger, and he's always been a gaffe machine. Joe Biden's whole career has been full of moments where he put his mouth into gear before he thought things through. This isn't that. This is something entirely different. I mean, this is, a man just completely and totally vapor locking and falling apart in the middle of sentences. Excuse me. Rick says, since when do we decide that ketchup on burgers is bad, as if that isn't the standard? It's just me and condiments, Rick. The whole thing. I don't eat any of them. Oh, geez. That would be glorious. S. Blank says, imagine if we had Norm, meaning Norm MacDonald, doing Weekend Update in today's climate. Oh, man. Oh, Norm would have such a field day, wouldn't he? Holy crap. Rosa says, you should not feel bad for people like Biden and Bill. They have both done the same shit to old politicians who they needed for their own purposes. You're not wrong. I would tend to feel bad for Biden way before Bill Clinton, though. I mean, the stuff that's Bill Clinton brings on a lot of the shit onto himself, and again, I'm not hating on him. I actually thought Bill Clinton was a decent president, but he brings this shit on himself with who he is. Biden, I think, is more of a victim, although I don't think anybody gets to the top of the food chain in national politics without doing some untoward things along the way. So yeah, I will admit, Chrome, the creepy around kids things gets a little unnerving to me too. At first, you see a couple instances of it. You could say, okay, it's an out of touch, probably bad phrasing, old guy. But then you see him like down whispering in kids' ears and the little caresses and stuff. And it's like, dude, that's not normal. And the people that defend it saying, oh, he's just a grandpa. Yeah, well, I'm a grandpa too. I still don't molest kids. I don't, especially in a photo op, I'm not rubbing their shoulders and leaning down and whispering gently in their ear. That's creepy. That's weird. And if you don't know better than that, there's an issue. That's all. Oh, Wix, but see, now you make me defend people I don't want to defend, because she says, I mean, Biden is creepy around kids, but Trump touches kids, so which Epstein do you want in charge? But the thing is, we don't have any proof that Trump ever did something like that. And listen, I'm voting for Donald Trump, but I've told you guys over and over, and I stand behind it. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, the person, at all, not even a little. But I'm not willing to say that he touches kids when there's no proof of that. And even with Biden, I didn't say he did anything untoward, anything more than what we've seen in photo ops. But I just think those photo ops are creepy. Lick says, wasn't he literally in Epstein's little black book? Yes, but that's the thing. Well, everybody takes things and runs with it. The one thing he was in the book for was about a court case that was thrown out 8 years ago. And the issue with it was the person who made the claims against him had done that in a serial nature, and she had significant emotional and mental issues documented. And she had been accusing a lot of different people of heinous acts. So it's not, in other words, not only was he never convicted, but there was a lot of, I don't want to dump on that person just in case, just on the outside chance any of it was true, but there were plenty of reason to doubt her. And the other times he's mentioned in the book, though, if you look deeper into it, it was at a time when him and Epstein were competing for a property, and it seems to be related to that. And he also was on Epstein's plane, but the flight logs show never to Epstein Island. And again, I hate doing this because I don't want to seem like I'm defending him. It's just I try and be fair to each side. There were only flights domestically where it looks like they were headed to the same place. Trust me, I don't give a shit who it is. If I think there's legitimate claims of anybody being untoward with kids, fuck them. I'm done with them. I want nothing but the worst for them. LSD enthusiast said, how could Stephen Hawking have done anything to the kids if his pecker didn't work? Big brain. The things that came out about Hawking are really, really weird, aren't they? The things that he used to like to... I don't want to say because I'm not sure which parts of it were verified and which ones weren't, so I'm not even going to bring up what they were. If you guys don't know what Hawking was accused of doing at Epstein Island, you can look it up. It's all over the internet. That's weird. That's some weird shit. It's too bad because I always really liked Stephen Hawking. Excuse me. Conversationosaurus Rex says, to Chrome, Clarence Thomas is linked with bribery and his wife was involved on January 6th. Yeah, you said it right. He's linked. There's no, again, we have, at least in my streams, we're going to be fair about things. There's no conviction of anything. There are questions certainly abound. And yes, his wife, I believe, helped to coordinate transportation for people to get to the January 6th event and everything, if I'm not mistaken. But again, you're still, and I understand it's the election season. Everybody's emotions are high. But just still, for me, I'm not going to come down on something that people have done unless A, it's verified, and B, it's actually something illegal. And as near as I can tell, Clarence Thomas's wife, she certainly wasn't one of those going into Congress. She did not breach anything, but she was involved. She obviously is a Republican. She's obviously a conservative because she did help facilitate getting people there. That in and of itself, of course, is not illegal in any way. LSD enthusiast says they say Hawking liked to put the girls on ladders with skirts to write on chalkboard. Yeah, I heard a few other weird things. And the thing of it is, and I just can't for the life of me, especially, with being a father and a grandfather, there are plenty of adult women who will do all kinds of crazy shit for you. Why would anybody be interested in wanting or seeing a child do it? It just makes you want to smash their fucking face in. It really does. Come on, the world we live in, especially if you're rich, especially if you're successful, you can get a grown-ass, gorgeous woman to do anything you want if you got enough money. If not, you don't even have to have money. If you go out enough, go out to the clubs enough, you'll find somebody who's willing to do just what you like with you. What is the? I don't want to get into it. Just I'll say things that'll get the stream shut down because I'll be a potty mouth. Yeah, that's what's unfortunate about it. Wendy's Front Yard says because they're not attracted to grown women. That's the point. I agree with you, and that's my issue. That's why they say, well, you hear them try and make the case that they can't help but have that attraction, but if they don't act on it, they haven't done anything illegal. You're right, they haven't done anything illegal, but I still don't want you. I still want you observed, and I still got an issue with you. If that makes me a jerk, so what? But if you have an attraction to kids, whether you've acted on it or not, I think you're a scumbag. I don't give a shit if it's part of your nature, if it's not something you have any control over or not. You better go get a lobotomy, get something done, get somebody in there picking around the pieces of your brain till you stop being attracted to kids. Yeah, no, you're right. Wendy's front yard. No, you're right. I agree with you. I agree with you. Mr. Popo says, as a European, no, Popo, no. As a European, I see most Americans as cultists thinking their party candidate can do no wrong, and the other side is full of extremists. Correct. It's genuinely a little scary. Please tell me I'm wrong. I'd love to tell you you're wrong, but you're 100% right. I've been around for 62 years, and I have never seen the country anywhere as near as polarized as it is now. You go back in the 70s and late 60s, early 70s, the Vietnam War, and the hippies versus the establishment, and that was rough, but it wasn't as bad politically as this. Now, of course, there was a lot of violence in the 60s and 70s too, with black people fighting for equal rights. And that got pretty hairy as well. But I think we're talking about a different category of contention there. Because that's not just political. That's just people wanting basic human rights. Which I like to think most of us now, hopefully, can look back at and see that there was a reason for them to be fighting. But yeah, I've never seen the country as polarized as this. You're right, Chrome. Crone says, I mean, those hippies literally grew up to be the establishment that's causing a lot of these problems. It is true. I mean, the statistics will back it up that people tend to, you've had several generations now saying, well, there's going to be a change in America. It's going to be much more liberal because the young people are coming up. Well, they've been saying that for 40 years at least. What happens is a lot of those people who are liberal when they're younger are not so liberal and become actually conservative as they get older. Now, is that going to continue forever? I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe we have a youngster group of Gen X or whoever. Maybe they're going to stick to their liberal leanings. But in the past, that has not been the case. Baxter Squeeze says, I think the pure hatred of politicians people hold today is what's making all this so intense. Not saying I like politicians either, though. Yeah, I think it's part of it, but I think a lot of the politicians have brought that upon themselves because of the way they conduct themselves. I think so. And again, just like you, I'm not anti-social media. I love technology, but the fact is, social media is behind a big part of it. And by extension, the politicians as well, because the politicians utilize social media to help create that divide. To say that I am unimpressed down the line with our national politicians would be the understatement of a lifetime. It's tragic how bad it is. Lick says, well, anyone who plays Minecraft needs to have their hard drives checked. That's just a fact of life. I got to tell you, Lick, that's still, Minecraft will forever be one of my all-time favorite games, though. I don't know what it is about that game. It's just so relaxing to me. Probably just because I'm easily amused. I mean, I can sit there and mine all day and be all excited when I find certain rocks or something opens into a cave and I hear a monster, or I just build a boat and go out on the Minecraft water and float around. Yeah, I'm simple. Conversationosaurus Rex says Project 2025 being associated with the GOP and Trump not 100% dismissing it is dangerous. Bring up the FBI, putting religion in school, banning porn legalization, same-sex marriage, etc. Well, he's certainly not going to entirely dismiss it, though. What you have to remember, though, Rex, is the think tank, I've forgotten their name, that comes up with Project 2025, they're conservative. So if they come out with a project like that, with a manifesto of that nature, of course a lot of things in there are going to align with politicians on the right because they are conservatives. That doesn't mean that somebody wants to take every element of Project 25 and enact it into law. Trump's got his, what does he call it, something 47, 47th president. He's got his stated goals on his website. Project 2025 is a separate entity. Is there going to be a crossing of platforms that they both agree with? Of course. It's a conservative think tank. He's a conservative candidate. But the outlandish stuff in there, it's no different than the extreme left. You have some things that are on their wish list that are just never going to happen. Doesn't matter who gets put into power. That's a good one. Banning porn. It's not going to happen. Porn is one of the biggest money-making industries in America. It's the most economy-proof. I read from, it was one of the big-name economic publications. This was some years ago. But said that it's one of the only recession-proof industries in America in that they never lose money. So you got a lot of people out there on the right complaining about porn and it's hurting society and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But numbers would tell you that there's probably a lot of them that are just giving lip service and are having a good time watching an illicit video or two because the numbers, the money in that industry is just insane, and it never subsides. And you're not going to be able to take away people's expression because there's too much of the country that won't stand for that because you don't approve of it. You have people like that. What the hell's her name? The conservative pundit there, Candace Owens. Is Owens her last name? She's big on that. Well, you got to get rid of the porn because it's bad for people. Okay? That's so hypocritical. You're going to tell me that you want to get rid of the porn because it's addictive and it leads to bad circumstances, but alcohol, tobacco, things of that nature are still good to go because alcohol has never no one's ever become addicted to alcohol or done bad things because of that addiction. Same with cigarettes. Come on. It's just asinine. So now you'd also have to take away sugars, right? All refined sugars are bad for you and can lead to bad things like, heart disease, so on and so forth. So we should, as Americans, no longer have the choice to say, okay, well, that's something I enjoy, and if I pay for it at some point, that's my free will. No. You have to do everything that makes Candace Owens happy. Fuck that bitch. Hey, Dr. Dirt, thank you very much. Gifted 10 memberships. Who got them? Rosa's in, Envix, Alvy, Joker, Agent M, Nella, Ryan Eddy, Adian, Trans Cat doing stuff, Shadow Assassin. Very, very cool. Thanks. I appreciate that, Dr. Dirt. Very kind of you. Yeah, I did see that. That Trump did disavow Project 2025. I did see that before Chrome. She's got a link there. He did it on his what the hell is his social media site called? I know nothing about Project 20. I have no idea who's behind it. I don't think that's true. He knows who's behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying. Some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything to do with and really, and again, I hate that this has devolved into me having to defend him as often as I am. But what else is he gonna say? Of course, as I said, it's a conservative think tank. He's a conservative candidate. Of course, there are going to be things in there that he does agree with. But just because they cross paths on certain things doesn't mean that he is willing to sponsor everything in that Project 2025. Yeah, I don't care for her, Chrome, that Candace Owens. She just, to me, she just strikes me as a very smug, arrogant, and not particularly bright individual. Truth Social. Thank you, guys. Well, you guys know me and any nouns. Names just won't stay with me. Yeah, I won't be doing any, Wolf, I'm not going to be doing any reactions here anytime soon. We're going to be doing the streams, and I'm not sure what we're going to be doing as far as videos going forward. I'll figure it out once we get back from vacation. Excuse me. Have you seen left media's headlines about attempt on Trump? Well, it could be Evgeny. Are you referring to the people that believe it's a false flag, it didn't happen? Or, well, didn't CNN initially run with a headline saying something about Trump falls down on stage? If there's anything that's become more of a cluster than our politicians, it's certainly our media. Baxter Squeeze says, how do you feel about MrBeast talking about being president? Oh, yeah, I'm not voting for Jimmy. And I don't have anything against him at all. I think he makes some great videos. I think he can be an entertaining dude. But I've never heard anything that would make me think, oh, that's the man who can lead the world into a prosperous place. No. See, MrBeast is a tough one for me in the respect, because I want to word this carefully, because I don't want to seem like I'm dumping on him, because I do like him. I genuinely do. If I didn't, I would tell you guys I'm not shy. I think he was very, very good at learning. Well, he's said as much. Learning, understanding, and taking advantage of the YouTube algorithm. I think he's a fun host of his videos. I don't think he's nearly one of the best that I see on YouTube, though. So, given all that, there's not even anything there personality-wise, is what I'm trying to say, that would make me get excited for him as a candidate. I think there are tons of YouTubers who are way more personality driven and just in their nature seem like people who could be leaders. He just doesn't strike me that way. Really, Rosa says a German comedian won an election for a European seat after running as a joke. So yeah, that's probably perfectly appropriate with today's political climate. Probably makes absolute, utter sense. Excuse me, guys. I don't know what's in my throat. Mr. Waifu Taker says, hello, Curtis. I found you through your videos on Black Lagoon, wrestling, and the Walking Dead. Oh, the Walking Dead game was so fun. I have a channel for my wrestling videos now, Taker. It's up. Just search Curtis Candy on YouTube, and that's where all my wrestling videos are. Jagerbaum says a pornography addiction isn't pretty and hard to break. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. But that, I mean, you could change the word pornography to a lot of different addictions, and that's true. All I'm saying is just because something can be addictive for some, you can't turn around and obliterate it for everyone unless you want to do that with everything that has an addictive nature to it. It would also end gambling. With gambling, a lot of people get addicted to gambling every year, and it ruins lives. So now, if you're going to follow those rules, again, you're getting rid of alcohol, you're getting rid of gambling, you're certainly going to get rid of tobacco. It's otherwise you're disingenuous. You're just picking and choosing. Well, I don't like this particular thing, and some people have ill effects from it, so we should just get rid of it. Raspberry says most addictions aren't as easily accessible to kids as porn, so it's one of the worst. I would question that thing's not being easily accessible. As children, yes, but I'm not sure that the addictions start as children. I think a lot of people's addictions to porn is something that comes later. Hell, kids, until they reach puberty, why would they even have an interest in it to begin with? But as far as easily accessible, I mean, going back from my day, from the time we were kids in middle school, there was plenty of ways you could get alcohol anytime you wanted to. I gambled well before I was legally old enough to gamble. I would disagree that it's more accessible. Certainly within your home. Braxton grew up in the electronic era. I had fail safes put in place to make sure of what he was what he was seeing on the internet. We can't parent for everybody. But again, I think that is an addiction generally that doesn't have to come from the time you were a child. It's an addiction that can afflict a 45-year-old for the first time just as quickly as it would somebody underage. Arrow Divinity, well, thank you for the super chat. And he says, I downloaded my porn. Take that, society. Win. Come get it, Candace. Hey, Beatrice, good to see you. I'm glad you're in with us. Oh, I would think so. Jack Harper says, I would say alcohol is a much more dangerous addiction than porn. Sure, I would agree, just because your alcohol addiction is much more likely to hurt other people. Raspberry says, nowadays the average kid sees porn the first time is 11. Come a lot earlier. As a 13-year-old, I wouldn't have been able to get consistent alcohol, tobacco, but porn was easy. Right, okay, so, but I'm not sure of the point you're making, Raspberry. So are you saying if something is more easily accessible when you're young, then it should be banned? Is that the take? Because addiction is addiction. Regardless of what point in your life it started, we're talking about addiction. So you're saying that porn is an addiction that should be banned. Nobody should take part in it because you feel that one's more accessible when you're younger? I don't follow the logic. I mean, addiction is addiction. So it's either, if you have an addiction that tends to create issues for yourself and possibly others, that's a bad thing. It doesn't matter if it was more accessible when you were younger. Rex says, in opposite reality, Trump was assassinated and Biden died of COVID this week. Oh. You're right, Chrome. I mean, she says, there used to be people who did the Master Roshi thing of watching workout tapes. Those were big for a while. I'm sure you guys have seen them, but most of you are probably not old enough to remember when that was the thing. There was one specific, it was either early in the days of VHS, it was either tapes or, I think it was on Showtime or something, was a workout show. Damn it, I should know the name of it. And all it was a bunch of attractive women in tight-fitting spandex doing workouts, and the camera went through and just took the most egregious egregious camera angles throughout the workout. There was no real instruction or anything at all. It was just camera angles, and that thing was hugely popular. I can't remember what the name of it was, though. Yeah, that was big. I mean, big for a while. I'm pretty sure it was on Showtime. Mr. Popo says, has banning things to solve a problem ever worked, though? Good point. If people are addicted, they're just going to find another addiction or become violent without an outlet. It's a much deeper problem. Right. And that's, like I say, that's what I say. Addiction is addiction. I don't see any way you go through and you pick, well, this addiction we're going to get rid of. Why? Oh, because it's not something I'm addicted to, or it's not something I'm interested in. So I don't care if it exists. So let it go. I mean, that's basically what's being said. And that's why I don't have any respect for people like Candace Owens saying things like that. Unless you're going to be consistent. Unless you're going to say we should live in a society where everything with an addictive quality should be banned. And that sounds like a fun existence. Lixbox says, hey, now the Crystal Pepsi Jazz Aerobics Championships 1995 VHS tape is fine fapping material. Right. And Lix, I don't think a lot of people don't realize how big those were for a while. Oh man, those things were popular. I mean, not that I was watching them. Like, it's not like I was just sitting in front of my TV this far away from the screen or anything. Yeah, how'd you guys like that? Was that terrifying or what? S. Blank says, most addictions have a pretty similar origin point of distracting yourself from something uncomfortable. If you find a way to address the uncomfortable thing, you won't feel the need to indulge. That could be true. I've always been somebody, I don't like the idea of addiction. The only thing I can ever say I really had to fight with when I was younger, I got way into betting the horses. Now, it started innocently enough in that I just like watching horse racing. And to this day, I'll watch a horse. I don't have to have a bet on it. I just think they're magnificent beasts, and it's fun to watch them compete. But it got to where it's like, ooh, I'm spending more money on this than I should be. And I found myself, like, each day I want to stop by the off-track betting shop and take a look at what's going today. And I realized it's like, dude, you're getting addicted to this shit. So I stopped. And that was years ago. Now I'll play. I haven't bet horses since I left New York. And even then, I typically just bet when they would come to the track at Saratoga in the summer. I do bet some college football, but typically only at the beginning of the season because I do really well at it because I'm a nerd for college football. And what happens is at the beginning of the season, see, the lines are created by Vegas, but then they're controlled by the bettors. And bettors tend to bet on what happened last year. And in college football, especially where you have kids graduating, transferring all the time and stuff, a team that was great last year might be due for a big comeuppance in a 3-9 season this year, and they get too much respect. So I go through and I look for those games, and I mean, because I don't have gambling winnings on my taxes, so obviously I'm telling you I didn't come out ahead because of, I would have claimed it if I did, but I do okay at it. Adam says kids don't just find it, they actively seek it out. Well, that's true. It's better for systems to be around so they can consume safely rather than trying to find things on other places that aren't safe at all. That's a good point. That's why, like with Braxton, I always told him, listen, anything you see, whether it's on the internet or wherever, you experience, your friends tell you about, if you're not sure how to feel about it or what it all means, or if you're not sure of anything about it, come ask me. You will never get in trouble for asking me a question because I don't want you to make your own conclusions. I don't want you to get what your truth from your idiot friends who I don't know where they get their information from. Just ask me. I'll sit down and I'll tell you about anything. Even with swear words. I'm not a big believer in the concept of swear words. I think it's stupid. Outside of things like the N word, which is just the only reason the N word exists is to demean other people. Never used it. Don't like it. But as far as traditional swear words like shit or the F word or anything else, I think conceptually it's idiotic, but it's something that society has put in place. So that's what I would explain to Brax. Well, why can't I say this word? I don't tell my generation, my parents would tell you just because I told you not to. I tell them, say, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just because the word represents something that is kind of gross or uncomfortable. And society would rather we didn't say it. So I'd rather you don't say it in situations where other people are around. Not hard to explain things to kids. Jack Harper says, would you agree with your contemporaries in wrestling when they say the reactions, adrenaline rush from working a match and performing is addicting? Yes, 100%. 100%. I miss it every day. Oh, yeah. Baxter says, swear words definitely dumb down sentences overall. See, I'm not sure what you're saying there. I disagree with the idea, though, that things like, and it's just because it's become a part of us. People don't question it. But if you have a sentence and you say, I'm going to go take a dump. Everybody's like, oh, that's cool. So somebody says, I'm going to go take a shit. Oh, watch your language. What? Well, why do the semantics matter? And the reason the semantics matter is because somewhere along the line, society decided, well, that word sounds gross, so just don't say it. It's not something I get on a soapbox about and I'm trying to reverse. I just think it's stupid. Raspberry says, did you ever go pro in boxing? What was your amateur career like? No, I wasn't good enough to go pro. I could have gone pro. I wouldn't have had a magnificent record. In amateur, it's funny. Over the years, my memory, big surprise, has become muddled. I remember I was 3-1 wins to losses. I don't remember if I was like 21-7, 24-8, but it was 3-1. That's all I remember. And I was a banger. So most of my fights were stoppages because back in amateurs, back then at least, I don't follow it as closely now, it didn't take much to get a stoppage. I mean, we were young. If you hurt another kid, they were going to stop the fight. And I hit really hard. So a lot of times I was fighting kids who'd never really been hit that hard before. So you get a good shot in, boom, first time somebody's been really whaled. And a lot of times, the panic sets in. So that's how I won a lot of fights. Lost a lot of decisions because I was a brawler. And that doesn't score well in amateur boxing. It was all about head down, come forward, eat punches to exchange and throw harder punches. Baxter says, I remember being so obsessed with the movie Rocky as a kid. Ah, great stuff. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, Maven's YouTube content is good. Yeah, I like it, Jack Harper. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen, not tons of it, but I've seen bits and pieces of his stuff. Yeah, I like him. Rex says, did you know it is said Hulk Hogan is to speak at the RNC later tonight? I didn't know that. I find it stupid. Hulk Hogan is not relevant to the GOP. He always wants to make things about himself. Yeah. I don't really get that. And you guys who are with me over at the Curtis Candy channel know I just don't have a ton of respect, unfortunately, for Hulk Hogan. I will never understand why somebody who has a genuine legacy in the business, I mean, whether you like Hulk Hogan or not, he transformed the business. He's an icon in the business. Why he feels the need to lie about things so much? He doesn't need to lie. He could just tell his real life stories, and he's always going to be a legend. But he always has to make himself seem bigger than he is or was by lying. And I don't have any respect for that. Chrome says, Spaz Kid asked why I couldn't say the N-word. No, I think that one was always pretty self-explanatory. No, he I don't know if he ever came to me specifically with questions. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one story. You guys have heard this before, the Club Penguin story. Brax just played Club Penguin. So he was like 9 or so at the time. Well, like I said, I always made sure I had fail safes in place. Well, I got emailed about any of his activity from Club Penguin admins. So I get an email that he's been banned for like a day. And I'm like, okay, didn't give a lot of specifics. So I went in and I asked him, I said, Bud, how'd you get banned from Club Penguin? And he looked at me like, well, you could see a deer in headlights. And he goes, he goes, I just screwed up. He said, I was just screwing around. I said, well, what'd you do? He goes, Dad, I was just talking with somebody and we were playing around and I typed in a bunch of letters being all goofy. He said, and they said that I said a bad word. I said, okay. I said, but, I'm in contact with their tech support. I said, so that's what happened? He goes, no, that's what happened. So I said, all right. So I went back and I responded to their tech team and told them what my son had said. I said, that doesn't sound right. I said, I really need specifics, please. And so they wrote back and they said, well, he called someone a bitch. So so I go back and I talk to him. I said, all right, buddy. I said, now, do you want to tell me what really happened with Club Penguin? And he was almost ready to cry and he goes, I called somebody a bitch. And I had to try not to laugh, but I told him, I said, listen, pal, I said, you're going to get grounded. I said, but you're getting grounded for lying to me. I said, all you had to do is tell me the truth. I've always told you, please just tell me the truth. If you had come out and told me that what you did was call somebody a bitch in Club Penguin, the first thing I would have said to you is, well, were they being a bitch? Because it's kind of funny. And then I would have told you, stop doing that. Don't say bad words to people in the internet, period. Just don't. I said, but you're getting grounded because you lied. I said, you had no reason to lie. I said, if I played Club Penguin, I probably would have called somebody a bitch. So he always took to things well. I think that I know of, he never lied to me in any other instances. But yeah, and I meant it sincerely. I'm going to punish him for calling somebody a bitch at 9 years old. What the hell do you think I would have been doing? I would have been doing that at 62 years old. But I would have told him to stop. It's just, you can't conduct yourself that way. But that would have been my question. Were they being a bitch? And he told me, he said, no, they weren't being a bitch. He said, I just wanted to see what would happen. He goes, Beacher says, kids today would never survive an early 2000 COD multiplayer server. Oh, man, remember that? Oh, yeah. Oh, boy, those were the fun days. Well, that's how the channel started in 2011 was COD, and I got involved in a lot of those. Remember the different things we used to do? I remember portraying at one point that I was a prisoner in a federal penitentiary, and my recreation was they let me play COD online. I was convincing people of that and stuff. We used to have fun with that shit. Envex said, my parents would wash my mouth with soap. Yeah, me too. Me too. And my parents, and I'm not going to complain about it, it's just they did things different. I didn't get that benefit. If you were just expected to know certain things, and if you didn't, you got your mouth washed out with soap. Whereas at least I like to think that Braxton or any of my kids never got in trouble for something unless I knew they knew what they were doing was wrong. If it's something that's never been addressed, it's not fair to punish them when they didn't know they weren't supposed to do that. That's the way I always looked at it. Baxter Squeeze says, I never got involved in any FPS games. I think I saved myself some mental torment. Oh, you did. Trust me, you did. They were just brutal. Oh God, the conversation that used to go on. Was Boogie, wasn't Chrome, didn't he, no, Boogie's become a mess. Didn't he fake having cancer or something? And again, I'm asking, I'm not accusing him of it because I don't know all the details. But isn't that what took place? See, I like FPS games, Rosa. I suck at them. I'm terrible at them. That's why we started the channel, because I was so bad at them. But I do enjoy them. Beecher says, my dad would make me carry bags of fertilizer from one side of the yard to the other as punishment. I think that's a reasonable punishment. Doesn't smell too good, and it's going to give you a little bit of a workout. Some it's going to give you a distasteful memory to convince you not to do it again. Lick says, when I was a kid on Club Penguin, I met penguin racists, so I think Brax got a harsh sentence. I bet you did, Lex. Hey, if we think about the history of the internet, I don't think there's any platform that's ever, brought in people from all around the world and there wasn't a good amount of toxicity. There's none that I know of anyway. But yeah, that was the whole thing with Brax. And like I say, I meant that genuinely. If he'd have just told me what he did, he wouldn't have gotten punished. I would have told him, don't say that anymore, but big deal. So he called somebody a bitch. Woo. Rex says, Boogie is a POS as a person. He outright said he can't have children because he's afraid he will molest them like his mother did it. Jesus Christ, I didn't know about that. That's legit, Rex? Yeah, just changed my opinion on Boogie immediately. Holy shit. And he did fake cancer for 2 years? He had to show the diagnosis papers to clear his name. Lick says, Americans think damn is a swear word and faint when they hear the word cunt. Their opinion doesn't matter on the time. I agree with you, Lex. I think it's silly. I think it's absolutely silly. And I think it does take away from the words that... Think about it. Which is really a more harmful word in general? Which can be used to really harm somebody more? The word hate or the word fuck? I would say hate's much more mean-spirited in general. We're all up for a good fuck now and then, right? All of us as adults. Consenting. A consenting fuck. Want to put that... But it's the things that society has put in place for whatever reason. Damn was always considered a swear word, Margis. They've eased way back off on it now, but yeah, like when I was a kid, oh yeah, damn was clearly in the swear word river. You had to say darn. Yeah, now that one's eased out. Damn, and the two that really eased out, damn and hell were both considered, and that's really pathetic, were considered swear words when I was a kid. Absolutely were. Yeah, exactly, Anvix. You had to say dang it, darn it, something like that. Yeah. Jack Harper says, considering how easygoing you were as a parent, how were you with a young guy or girl in wrestling who was disrespectful, dangerous, or a lie? Oh, it's a whole different story, though. See, and it's the way I structure everything, even in how I've dealt with trolls in here over the years and stuff. If a young wrestler were doing things in the ring that was dangerous, my first thing would be to if I'm locker room boss, get them aside and say, okay, listen, this is what you're doing wrong and it can't continue. If the response from them is, holy shit, I'm sorry, teach me what to do. I want to go far in this business. Then you say, okay, here's what you need to do going straight, and you make sure they do it. If their opinion is, fuck you, I know what I'm doing, then no, I lose all patience with them. There's nothing that will infuriate me quicker than disrespect, and I'm sure that's from the wrestling background. Then it becomes a case of, I'm going to punch you in the face. I come back from the old days, you guys. That's how things were done back then. And who knows? I mean, I'm not the toughest guy in the world. When I punch him in the face, I might lose that fight. But there's a good chance in the parking lot I'll stab him later. Allegedly. But no, I don't care for disrespect. Period. If you have an issue, it's just like, again, because I'm an old man, father, grandfather figure, I have people coming to me in private messages wanting to talk about just things in their lives all the time. And I not only don't mind that, if I can have anything to offer, I'm glad to do so. And anybody that comes to me asking for help or just asking for an opinion or just asking me to listen, I'll always do it. When you are so maladjusted that your only way of approaching someone is disrespectfully to try and get attention, then I don't care. And I know some people say, well, that's harsh too, because that person, they came from they don't understand what they're doing. I don't care. That's all I can tell you. If you can't be respectful to me, I don't give a shit. If you are respectful to me, I've got all day for you. There's been a few. Beaches says, isn't there a study that showed people who cuss more were smarter than those who don't cuss? I don't know how much stock I put into it. Yeah, but I've read a couple of those. I do think it's a great release. Any forceful language can be a great release when things have built up. Well, thank you, Chrome. I appreciate that. So that's why I respect and like you. Yeah, I mean, that's the only deal breaker for me is disrespect. There's no reason to be disrespectful. And that's why it's sad when you see people online that, again, come in aggressively and talking shit. It's like, if you were that desperate for attention, all you had to do is message me. If you got stuff that's going on in your life that's making you feel that way, if you'd messaged me and said, hey, Curtis, you're an old fart. Have you ever experienced this in life? This is what I'm going through. I don't know that I can help, but I'll tell you every detail of every experience I've had with it. If it helps you, I'm glad. So that's my bugaboo, disrespect. Kaiser says, well, suck frowned upon. The Simpsons had Marge call out Homer after he repeated it while on the phone. I can tell you a story about that, Kaiser. To give you an idea, there was a show years ago about a little diner called Alice. And there was a big, Flo was one of the waitresses. She was the sassy Southern waitress. And she would say, Mel, he ran the restaurant, go suck an egg. At first, they were banning her from saying that, from saying suck an egg, because that was too vulgar. They fought back and forth, and finally, if I remember right, she was allowed to say it. But so that gives you an idea. Yes, back in the day, they would even suck was too much for them. I hadn't even, wow, you brought back a memory. I hadn't thought about that in years. Of course I like anime boobies. J Money? Who wouldn't like anime boobies? Envix, eat my shorts. And that was edgy at the time, Envix. Early on in The Simpsons, in those early days, that Bart saying eat my shorts was edgy. And now you and now you have that crossover episode with South Park where Bart's telling Cartman how badass he is because he cut off the head of the town statue. And of course Cartman says, yeah, I once made a kid eat his parents. But you're pretty badass too. Don't have a cow, man. Yeah. Chrome says, oh, who was it? There was a U.S. president who came out against the Simpsons while president. Wasn't Bush? I don't remember. Could have been, Chrome. Could have been. Yeah. I mean, politicians all the time, they do it now. Like we're talking with Candace Owens and stuff, and people coming out against porn. They want to give themselves, they think they're have a certain moral high ground. Go fuck themselves. It was Bush Sr.? That was why the Simpsons made him into an episode. Was it, Rex? That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. Oh, shit, I gotta go. Hey, guys, this was fun. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Now, again, I know most of you know I'm leaving on vacation Sunday, 21st? Yeah, Sunday. I'm leaving for vacation Sunday, be gone a little under a week, then I'll be back here. I'm going to try, we're going to Disney for my grandson's 15th birthday, a trip that's been in the works for, 11 years. So I don't know how much time I'll have, but I'd like to try and hopefully maybe just stream a little bit from down there and take you guys a walk around our resort or something like that. But maybe I'll get a chance to check in. I've been doing a lot of videos to get stuff done ahead so I can, the daily content at the Goosh will remain the same as it always is, and hopefully have some videos to post for you guys at the different YouTube channels here at Grandpa Curtis and over at Curtis Candy. But thank you for hanging out here with me. These are always a blast. And when I get back, we'll be doing these as often as I can. I love these no condiment streams where we get to talk about just whatever we want. They're just such a good time. You guys always make it so entertaining for me. But I will talk to you guys as soon as I can.